Maybe I'll just deal with the marriage and kids. So in some of our happiness data, married people are happier than other population subgroups, but only when their spouse is present, when they're asked how happy they are. Well, you laugh, but that's the data. I mean, what can I say? I mean, this is all good academic science. When the spouse is not present, fucking miserable. Now, I mean, you read into that what you will. I mean, you know, whatever. But massive variation between whether their spouse is present or not. What we think we have, because we do have some good longitudinal data, you know, following the same people over time and its effects on marriage, that basically I'm going to basically do a massive disservice to that academic science by saying that if you're a man, you should probably get married. If you're a woman, don't bother. See, if you're a man, you basically calm down. So everyone knows what men are like when they're together in groups. So you take less risks, you earn more money at work, you live a little longer. She, on the other hand, has to put up with that, and she dies sooner than if she never married. You know, the healthiest and happiest population subgroup are women that have never married and never had children. Yeah. We love it when evidence confirms what we always do. That's called confirmation bias, by the way. So, but that's interesting, isn't it? Because the narrative is something quite different, particularly for women. You know, if you see a single woman of 40 who hasn't had children, bless. That's a shame, isn't it? Maybe one day you'll meet the right guy and that'll all change. No, maybe one day you'll meet the wrong guy and that'll all change. Maybe you'll meet somebody that will make you less happy and less healthy and die sooner.
I'm going to put this on both my IBMOR and my ladies channel. This is going to be fascinating. Some stuff comes out of the UK is actually fascinating. I don't know what the agenda is, and this is a preliminary study, but here it goes. See what you guys say. Women are happier without children or a spouse, says happiness expert. Behavioral scientist Paul Dolan says traditional markers of success no longer apply. We may have suspected it already, but now the science backs it up. Unmarried and childless women are the happiest subgroup in the population, and they are more likely to live longer than their married and child-rearing peers, according to a leading expert in happiness. Speaking at the Hay Festival on Saturday, Paul Dolan, a professor of behavioral science at the London School of Economics, said the latest evidence showed that the traditional markers used to measure success did not correlate with happiness, particularly marriage and raising children. Dolan's latest book, Happy Ever After, cites evidence from the American Time Youth Survey, which compared levels of pleasure and misery in unmarried, married, divorced, separated, and widowed individuals. The study found that levels of happiness reported by those who were married was higher than the unmarried, but only when their spouse was in the room. Unmarried individuals reported lower levels of misery than married individuals who were asked when their spouse was not present. Well, if that's the case, why are men less happy if they're unmarried? That doesn't make sense. Other studies have measured that some financial and health benefits in being married for both men and women on average, which Dolan said could be attributed to higher incomes and emotional support, allowing married people to take less risk and seek medical help. However, Dolan said men showed more health benefits from tying the knot as they took fewer risks. Women's health was mostly unaffected by marriage, with middle-aged women being at a higher risk of physical and mental conditions than their single counterparts. Despite the benefits of a single childless lifestyle for women, Dolan said that the existing narrative that marriage and children were signs of success meant that the stigma could lead to some single women feeling unhappy. That's why I hate social scientists. You see a single woman of 40 who has never had children. Blessed, that's a shame, isn't it? Maybe one day you'll meet the right guy and that'll change. No, maybe she'll meet the wrong guy and that'll change. Maybe she'll meet a guy who makes her less happy and healthy and die sooner. Now, sometimes I hate social scientists because they can be contradictory, especially out of the UK. So if women are unhappy being married and happier being unmarried, why don't they just stop trying to push for marriage and children? So if a single childless woman is happier than a married woman with children, then what's the big deal? Is it that their biological clock is ticking and it's pushing them to have children? What is it? Have I met single, never married older women that were happy with their life? Or is it that the environment that we live in, because we live in such, crowded cities, that we're never alone? So there's no need for companionship of children. But what about the loneliness factor? I think I need to see more of this study, because some things are contradictory and they don't make sense. If women are truly happier being unmarried, why do they push for marriage? Because it's not men pushing for marriage, because it's the exact opposite. Women that are happy, so-called the people that are happy as being single, are the one pushing for marriage, and the men that should be married are actually not pushing for marriage. Doesn't make sense. That's why I think a lot of times that these are social, I shouldn't say social experiments, but I think these are social propaganda. Are single women with childless, unmarried happy? Yes, till they get about 30. But say that a woman is single and not married and childless and happy at 40, that's not my experience, especially at 40, because her ability to attract a mate at 40 is tenuous. Her ability to attract mates or other men at 40 are tenuous. It's better for her to get those men at 20, because that's when her attraction is highest. Her attraction gets lowest at 40. But I'm going to have to look this guy up and see what he has to say further, because now I'm confused. It doesn't make sense. But what do you guys think? I'm going to put this up, see what you guys think. Because on the surface, in their 20s, it makes sense. In their 30s and 40s, it doesn't. So are they changing the narrative that women shouldn't get married, should stay single, shouldn't have kids, at a time when they're trying to push women to have children? This is very, very odd. But that is the world of social science as we see it, or as it sits. Because, like I said, I'm going through David Buss's The Evolution of Desire. And as most social science books, it's all over the place. There is no coherent model, because social science is a mixture of nature and nurture and environment, and that is way, way too complex to predict. Human beings are very complex creatures. But with that, I'm going to jump off of here. This is BGS out, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.